big idea for the day. And the big idea is something that's called Apke's first law of Agile Transformation. It was originally posted in May of 2013, so this thing's been around for a while. And it was posted under the blog title Apke's Law. It's now Apke's first law of Agile Transformation, because since then I've come up with a few others that I want to publish, but this was the very first one, and it was just Apke's Law back then. So in the comments section, there is a place and a link to it if you want to see the original post, which is quite interesting. Again, May of 2013. And Apke's first law of Agile Transformation, at least as it originally was worded, said this: your transition to Agile will only go as far as the highest ranking manager who understands and supports it. And interestingly enough, I've changed the wording a little bit over the years. I put new and improved with a question mark of whether this is actually an improved wording. But the new wording is your Agile Transformation will only go so far as the highest ranking leader who understands and supports it. Because I like the word leader better than manager. I think you've heard me say that before. So why is this a big idea? I want to give you just a few stories. First, where did this come from? Because this comes from over 11 years ago. I was working at a financial services company, and I was an Agile coach and I was a Scrum Master. And I noticed that there was a VP of software development and there was a head of the PMO. Those two people basically had the same level within the organization. They had very, very different views on what agility meant. And what I was hoping for, which didn't happen at the time, was that there was somebody who might be at a level above these two, who would be able to arbitrate their decisions and help provide guidance on how the organization was going to move forward and make decisions with regard to agility. So that was the seed. This was even longer ago than when I first wrote this blog, but it planted the seed in my head that maybe there needs to be somebody at a high level who understands agility, who can make decisions and help guide the organization. It was a little bit later that I found myself in San Antonio, one of my first Agile gigs, and I worked with a gentleman who's a guest on the show and my mentor. His name is Tom Malash. Some of you all familiar with Tom. He may even be here listening in today. I don't know. But I remember sitting down with Tom one time at work, and we were having a cup of coffee, and we had a conversation, and he brought up something to me, and that topic was a chief electricity officer. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but he said, you know, back in the old days when electricity was new, they used to have these people called chief electricity officers. And the reason they had chief electricity officers was that they needed people who understood how electricity was going to change things, because it was a groundbreaking change. I think we're going to see the same thing actually when it comes to AI. That we may need some people at the tops of organizations who really understand AI, because we need guidance on how to do it. We don't have chief electricity officers anymore because they're not needed. And so in my mind, as I was talking to Tom, I came up with the idea of maybe we need somebody at the C level. And this is a little bit of a different topic and maybe something I'll talk about before, but I came up with the concept of a chief agile officer, chief agility officer. And the reason being is I have seen in my experience that there have been numerous times when agile transformations work very well at the team level. We've all seen this, by the way, over the years as agile has changed, because now we have all these scaling things of how do we move it beyond just one or two teams? How can we make it more of an organizational wide type of change? And I noticed this concept of people who supported it at different levels of the organization. So I had one instance where we had 600 developers in multiple teams, and we were doing very well with the transformation at the team level, but we had some very well strategically placed vice presidents who weren't really on board with the transformation. And they did a pretty good job of derailing some of the progress that we could have made. Not that we weren't successful. I don't know if I want to use that word success, but they helped derail it because they were well placed in that organization. So we kind of moved up, Apke's first law of agile transformation. We kind of transformed up until we hit them and that level of the organization. Conversely, I worked for C-level people who did, understood, and supported it. And because of their understanding and supporting, we were able to actually make a lot more progress. And so this is the Apke's first law of agile transformation is in order for us to transform, and it's probably true of any organizational transformation, you not only need people who support it, because without the support, obviously it's going to be very, very difficult, but you need people who understand it. Because Agile is about making decisions and making better decisions. And unfortunately, if somebody doesn't really understand agility, it doesn't take much for one decision to undo a lot of other things that are happening within the organization. The higher up you go in the hierarchy of the organization, the more impactful any decision is made. It's pretty intuitive. And so the decisions with impact need to be made, if we're going to be successful with an agile transformation, by people who understand it. It's rather simple concept, but it's one that I don't know how many organizations actually pay any attention to it. So maybe not life-changing, maybe not a big aha moment for you, but Apke's first law of agile transformation.